Good afternoon, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Hope and the Truth. I'm your host, Parvin. With me today, Adam Stenberg. Thank you for coming by. And as always, we're here to renew your hope, strengthen our faith in the Lord. Let's jump right into it, Mr. Sternberg. So, let's talk a little about your story. You've got an interesting story, doing a lot of stuff in the community. First, what is your business? What's the title of your business?
So, I'm the owner of Compassion Nevada Consulting, co-owner. Also, we are launching a couple of new companies this month. One's called Greenlight Tour and Travel.
Okay.
And the Greenlight Compassion Center.
Okay.
So it's basically a community center, informational resource center, and training educational center for the cannabis community and for all the employees that are working in the industry, and for us to help reach people that need reaching, with whether it be with scientists, doctors, or whatever. We can have these seminars and special events to help give people information and education.
I love it. I love what you're doing. Let's find out why you're doing it. What got you into this field in the first place? What do you say?
Well, I can't lie. I was always a cannabis user.
Okay.
But then I was a union fire sprinkler pipe fitter, working long hours, and I was diagnosed with something. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't actually diagnosed. I was told I was sick, and I felt sick. So unfortunately, the union insurance wouldn't pay for the testing and stuff to get properly diagnosed. So I ended up getting out of that industry, and medical cannabis at that point in my life started helping me. So I started redirecting, and I was helping other people with similar ailments and stuff that I was experiencing, and it was helping them likewise. So it just kind of started.
Once you walk through something, you can now relate. You have empathy, and someone else will come to you like, well, you know what you're talking about. You've gone through this. You're relatable. So, I mean, that's an amazing story to actually recover. And you're cancer-free now.
Cancer-free now.
Praise the Lord.
It's been almost 10 years now.
Congratulations.
So far.
Well, now I understand exactly why you got into Compassion Nevada Consultant. So some of the extension, you've seen kind of the industry change because you've been here since the start of it when it first kind of was passed, the medical marijuana card. What have you seen evolve over time, or should say change?
The biggest thing is, in the beginning, patients were left on their own.
Okay.
You were told, okay, you can get this medical marijuana patient card, but then you're on your own. Where you get your seeds or your knowledge or anything to produce your own, because there was no dispensary.
And I have a question. When did that go into effect? In the year?
2000.
Okay, 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
And then, so patients were really at their own, faced with a lot of dilemmas on how do I learn because it was a grow your own program at that point. So how do I learn to grow my own? A lot of people were faced, unfortunately, with turning to the black market, to bad people to learn, to get these resources from, because they were the ones that knew how to do it at the time. So, you had people trying to learn how to provide medicine for themselves, facing home invasions and all of this multitude of basically bringing your family and yourself susceptible to the black market people that are teaching you how to get this information, and then they'll turn around and steal from you. So people were really hesitant to learn how to do this for themselves, and there was no distribution system. And your medicine is only as good as your knowledge in producing it. So for a long time, patients were experiencing inadequate medicine, self-produced, and crop failure a lot because we live in the desert. So in the beginning, I was helping patients with grow your own classes and teaching them how to provide themselves with consistent medicinal quality cannabis for themselves. Now the paradigm has totally shifted. As you know, we have dispensaries now. There is a safer place to obtain medicine that people do feel comfortable with, are starting to feel more.
There's a little more regulation, and we are now a medically inclusive state, maybe soon to be a recreational state, but now we are currently medically inclusive and more accepted. So we actually do have dispensaries in the state of Nevada.
And so now people are more, 90% of people that obtain their patient card are more apt to go to these dispensaries rather than produce their own.
They have options, which I think is a good thing, especially if you're sick. The last thing you would be told is, here's your medical card, go grow your own plants. What? I mean, if you don't have a green thumb, that's not the best thing that you want to be told. So since that, now the world has evolved. Let's say it's evolved a little bit. There's a few interesting things that are coming up that we were talking before the show. I find fascinating. So tell me about the teleconferencing that you have. I know it's not teleconferencing. What is it called?
Okay, so there's 2 states in the United States so far that are approved for telehealth and telemedical visits. So
Okay.
you can legally, it's recognized by the state of Nevada's medical board, as well as California is the other state. You can actually visit with your doctor via computer and have your, so the system is intended to reach people that are ambulatory in their homes and people that can't come to these facilities or go to the doctor very easy. So now there is a way to go to their homes and get them certified, or we could have them come to one location and get them visit the doctor, upload all the documents to the state and everything all in one simple sitting, rather than having them now request the application from the state. Now we have to mail this.
Yeah, it becomes a process.
Now the state has a very streamlined system of you can upload all your documents and your IDs and everything, doctor's recommendation and all of that right to the state.
Okay.
So having this new online registration system for patients, and now with the telehealth working together, now we can provide the full picture.
That's beautiful. Now let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
Are you the only one doing it?
No, there are other people
Okay.
doing it. In fact, some of the dispensaries have jumped on board
Okay, nice.
and are doing it in their location as well.
Perfect.
I haven't heard of any of the dispensaries doing the telehealth yet,
Okay.
but they are having doctors, from what I understand, on site a couple days a week or a couple hours a week or something like this, and they.
Now, if you can talk about it with you, how many doctors do you currently have working with you?
I currently refer to about 5 different doctors in Las Vegas and 2 in the Carson City, Reno area.
Right.
It was very hard. That was one of the challenges in the beginning, was all the doctors I would approach didn't want to be labeled as a small town pot doctor or whatnot. So a lot of them were hesitant to sign these recommendations in the beginning. As this comes more and more full circle now, more doctors are willing to sign these recommendations. Granted, they are very thorough about protecting themselves and making sure they're following all the guidelines appropriately and whatnot. So the education has brought more doctors to be willing to do this. So
Well, I think it starts opening up what a lot of the preconceived notions of what cannabis was thought to. And alternative medicine in general is very effective. And that's the key thing, is that you reach a moral precipice almost, where stuff that you're told and then what you're seeing, and you kind of have to make a choice. And there can be a line that you can walk where you're not endangering your license with the AMA, and at the same time saying, well, look, we have to embrace this. This is actually helping patients. It's not interfering with other things. It's not obviously causing an economic issue with us, but we've gotten into medicine to help. I think that's the big thing. If you get medicine, it's to help people.
Absolutely.
Now, the other thing we were talking about, and this is even more exciting, you were
Leads
telling
right
me about
into
this.
this.
Leads right into this. What is the titling, the new thing? I'll let you explain it, because I have no idea.
So at our Greenlight Compassion Center, we're going to be offering all sorts of classes. We have both for individuals wanting just personal knowledge, self-help classes, all the way to employee and career classes. And this leads into this. So one of the career classes and directions we're going to start offering is going to be a practitioner class. So this is not for everybody, but it is for people that want their own business, to be their own boss, that have been in the industry for a while. In Nevada, a lot of us in the past years have been caregivers, what is known as caregiver by law. The problem with the caregiver system is a caregiver can only be a caregiver for one patient, and you cannot be a patient and a caregiver at the same time. So you would have a dilemma of a choice with that. What we're going to be teaching is a practitioner's class. So in the state of Nevada, we can get these people registered as state-approved, board-approved medical practitioners.
Really?
Okay. A practitioner can be specializing in the dietary or in aromatherapy or acupressure, acupuncture. This is called the Complementary and Alternative Medicine Program that falls under the state medical guidelines. CAM.
Okay.
Just so happens that medical marijuana now can be its own offshoot. So we can have complementary alternative medicine specializing in cannabis.
So let me ask you a question. We do some consulting. I have a background in herbal psychopharmacology, herbal pharmacology. Let's say getting a license like this, would I be able to, let's say, consult with a doctor, and a doctor could consult with me?
Yes, that's the great thing about this. As you know, in law right now, or you might not know, doctors cannot openly discuss the full scope of cannabis and what it can and can't do with their patients because they are bound by federal laws and whatnot that restrain them. The difference with a practitioner now and a caregiver, a practitioner can legally be under these guidelines and practice and give information and consultation legally now.
So this
you're going to be protected.
Unbinds the doctor's hands in a way, because now you can actually work together. There can be kind of a synergism where the doctor's not jeopardizing their reputation, their license. At the same point, they can say, look,
he can refer you, the patient, to give them all of the information that he didn't feel comfortable giving them or was bound from giving them. And likewise, you can refer back to the doctors, the patients to the doctor. And with this telehealth now, we have a wonderful program that we're going to give people an opportunity to step up, get out of this caregiver classification that keeps people restricted and let them reach and help a multitude of more people. And
beautiful.
It's a career direction now that we're going to be teaching people how to go.
It's a specific path. I think it opens the doors for a lot of people to really help the community as a whole, not just one person. And even one person makes a difference, but I mean, to be able to help multiple people and to freely give information out, that's good information.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to share this and not worry about what are the repercussions going to be if I'm giving out this information. It's still truth, but how am I going to give out this information?
Absolutely.
When are your classes? When are these things going to start with you guys? You have a date that, just in general, for your opening, you're in the process of opening.
We're going to go for the 1st of November.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie, it's been a strenuous process of getting the facility up to standards and codes, and as well as making the city and all of these jurisdictions comfortable for what we're trying to do. As you know, medicating in public consumption is illegal.
Yes.
So this was obviously a concern, a great concern to the business licensing departments and whatnot. And we had to really make them comfortable and make them understand what we're trying to do and assure them that we're not trying to have a pot smokers club here. We're trying to be a community center, a resource center to have these seminars and
to educate
people. And yes, there will be the cannabis community in our facility, but we're not.
Yeah, I love it. See, that's a positive change. How can people get a hold of you? Is there a website, phone number?
Yes. So
both? Which one?
Yes, we have a website. It's called www.greenlight.com.
Okay.
We also have CompassionNevadaConsulting.com. They are, I apologize, they are in reconstruction right now. So we are going to the international level with our tour and travel company that we're launching.
Okay.
So trying to help and reach these reciprocity patients from all over the world requires an extensive website, more than we had. So we are actually rebuilding it. It will be up and running this next week.
Okay.
All of the websites will be, as well as we're going to also be launching an interesting program. So it's called the Nevada Cannabis Industry Awards.
Okay. What's that company?
So, yes, the intention of the Nevada Cannabis Industry Awards is to give the patients information and resources about the current 4 MME license holders.
Okay.
For example, the dispensaries. We have people constantly calling us, asking us, where's this dispensary? Where's that dispensary? do they have this? Do they have that? Just a multitude, every bit of question you could imagine. And we get people calling us thinking we are a dispensary, and no, we do a lot of consulting and referring people out. In the meantime, they want to know, how good is this? How good is that? Is this, that? And, well, we decided that we needed something for patients to be able to access to get this information and knowledge from. So it's going to be an online blog site where patients can pipe in and give, not only judge products and services that are provided from either dispensary, cultivation, and the testing labs, they don't really have so much contact with yet, the individuals, but they will in the future. And then the production facilities also. So one of the 4 licensed owners they're gonna in essence have a free marketing tool. We're gonna promote and send people to different places to obtain these samples, and they'll judge it on their own, in their own homes as they want.
And it's good. It's subjective. I mean, with that said, with opinions, it's very hard to ask someone else, what did this do? Well, my genetics are different. I have something different than you have. You have to kind of get out there. It's good to get a brief overview. This might work better for the condition you're treating. This is normally what you were seeing, but you have to get out and know yourself.
Unbiased.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. I want to thank you for coming by, Adam. We're going to link up all the stuff on there. What we're going to do is going to come back, if you'll hang with me, for the news you might not have heard about. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. I'm Lance Parvin. With me still is Adam. So every now and then, Adam, thank you. Every now and then the guests don't know what to talk about. I pull up stories you might not have heard about. Sometimes I go a little off the rails, and some of these stories might scare the peanuts out of your M&Ms. It's just the truth. I'm not trying to scare you. So I've got a few stories today. You don't want to talk about it, don't worry, it's just for your opinion. So today I did something a little different. Rather than just have a news story, I kind of had a topic with the stories related to the topic. So the first story, and I feel these are interrelated, you can let me know. This came out about September 8, 2016. Leprosy hits California primary school. Kids struck down with biblical flesh-rotting disease. What? So there were 2 cases of leprosy that broke out at a California primary school. This is also called Hansen's disease, which was named in 1873. And we'll get into some details on this. Parents refused to send their children to Indian Hills Elementary School in Jurupa Valley. No details have been given in how the children contracted it. Well, why would they? They're not really sure. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. Most people believe that leprosy, when it's talked about in the Bible, has one meaning. That's not necessarily correct. In this case, if these children did in fact have Hansen's disease, it's thought to be a bacterial infection that can be cured with antibiotics and some other stuff. It still was not found out where these children contracted this illness. Now, a week later, about a week and a half later, another story came up. And here's why. I'm going to get into a little thing about leprosy. It's known as an infectious disease known today as Hansen's disease, historically considered an incurable and disfiguring caused by a bacterium. In the Bible, the Hebrew term traditionally translated leprosy actually describes a wide range of skin condition other than Hansen's. And the reason I can actually talk about this is because Leviticus 13 and 14 speaks about both of these issues. Not just leprosy in a person, but also leprosy in a house. How can a house get leprosy? Well, that leads me to my next story. In August 21st, 2016, so this actually happened prior, a mysterious black slime attacks iconic Washington memorials. That's interesting. Apparently, a black slime started forming and growing on the Lincoln Memorial, the Arlington National Cemetery, the Washington Monument, and the Jefferson Memorial. Experts are not sure. They're calling it a black biofilm. They have no idea what it is. They can't effectively treat it. Catherine Dewey, the resource manager at the National Mall and Memorial Parks, added, treatment of the biofilm is difficult, as there is no known permanent method for removing this. Well, I find that strange. You will just have a black plague that starts growing on historical monuments, specifically in Washington, D.C. See, it's interesting because if you look at it a little deeper, some of the causes are meant to be maybe spiritual wickedness. Now, why would that be affecting D.C.? That's odd. Questions, and all of a sudden, and we have some weird stuff that's breaking out. We're seeing a lot of stuff, some cases of polio being reported throughout the country, leprosy, and don't get me wrong, there's been cases of leprosy that are reported. Normally, on average, I think the CDC says 150 a year are reported. But we're starting to see things in the community where we have odd occurrences happening. Stuff that hasn't been seen for a while. Anthrax being released by snow because of melting glaciers. Questions on maybe some stuff that you've seen just from consulting. I don't have to comment on this because that's a lot That's a lot to take in.
You know exactly what you're seeing, these patterns. I don't know about everyone, but my generation, these smallpox, leprosy, polio and stuff, they were like, we learned about them in books and movies and TV and stuff, but they weren't around us in society. We weren't exposed to it. Now, wow, we're starting to see these pop up, and they're actually living in our society around us. So now it's not an example. To get an example, you don't even need to go to the media anymore. It's actually around you in public, and it's all these people that are faced with these cancers and these diseases is just it seems to.
It's a lot of stuff become
tenfold.
Resistant. You hear about antibiotic resistances to certain diseases. So stuff is changing. I mean, disease platforms are starting to change in regards to people are saying, well, I've never seen this. What is this new strain? Where is this coming from? And people are starting to say, wait a minute. How are we so technologically advanced, medically advanced, and we have no answers for any of these things? How is disease skyrocketing? We're going up. But I'm not going to leave with that story. Bear with me, one more story. I'm going to leave on a good note. So this is a better story. Sometimes I'll find stuff that relates directly to prophecy, and I think this one's a good one. This is from Israeli News, and I'll always post the links to the stuff that I find. This is a Dead Sea prophecy. This is from July of this year. The title was labeled Ezekiel's Prophecy Unfolding on the Shores of the Dead Sea. At first, I'm just going to read you one line of scripture. I'm going to get into the story real quick. There will be swarms of living things wherever the water of this river flows. Fish will abound in the Dead Sea, for its waters will become fresh. Life will flourish wherever this water flows. That's Ezekiel chapter 47, verse 9. Now, I'm just going to give you some facts on the Dead Sea and what's the big deal, Lance? Well, the Dead Sea is 429 meters below sea level. It's the lowest land spot on Earth. Its salt density is nearly 10 times denser than the ocean. Nothing could live in it, okay? Because of its high mineral concentrations, many believe its water and mud have medicinal qualities. Apparently, even King Herod the Great had a health spa of sorts along its shores. The Bible speaks of the Dead Sea, obviously, a few times. It's first mentioned in Genesis chapter 14, verse 3. It borders Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. It's a major source of water for the sea, but the fish turn back prior to them getting to that inlet. They won't just flow through that channel. And with farmers using the river for irrigation and evaporation, it has resulted in the Dead Sea shrinking by 1 meter a year. Now, here's the interesting occurrence that's been happening. Life started showing up along the coast of the Dead Sea. What? Apparently, among the dramatically receding shoreline, sinkholes are showing up with fresh water and live fish. I find that interesting. And in 2011, when they were finally able to dive, because they couldn't dive until this point, they found massive craters at the bottom of the sea full of fresh water being fed by the springs beneath the sea. Are you kidding me? See, it's amazing when you can start to see how science can now merge together with actual prophecy. People would have heard this thing a while ago. How can the Dead Sea come back to life? It's dead. You start seeing things. I'll leave you with that thought for today. First, I want to thank Adam for stopping by today. It was a pleasure. Thank you for enlightening us with all this information. Are you kidding me? As always, stay close to Jesus. We'll see you next week. I'm Lance Parvin.